This is a rest day practice that can be used throughout your cycle to soothe sore muscles and to restore balance. It's so important that we give the same amount of commitment, of time, and energy to our recovery as we do to our workouts themselves. So, our progress is what happens in between our workouts. So, recovery practices like this can support muscle repair and ultimately support muscle development. In the end, that is the process that is going to help us promote favorable body composition change so that we can feel our best in our bodies. Ultimately, this entire practice of cyclical fitness aims to help you feel at home in your body. So, today's practice will guide the entire body through a series of deep static stretches. We will have kind of some opening for the lower back, the upper and lower body together, so that you are going to feel that relief from any muscle soreness that has come up from kind of the more intense strength training days that you may have been enjoying in the first half of the cycle. This is a great way to practice kind of at that mid cycle transition point as we move from kind of the higher intensity to the lower intensity work. I love using this recovery day in between split strength sessions or just on a day where you're not really feeling the workout and you are kind of getting that pull toward recovery. This is a great one for all of those things. So I'll guide you through from head to toe through some very deep, very feel good stretches that will help promote the balance in your muscles. So it's a great way to correct some postural imbalances that might arise when we have these habitual patterns that create kind of chronic shortening or lengthening in different muscles. This static strength stretching will help promote that sense of balance throughout the body. All you'll need for today is a comfortable place to move around, preferably someplace that is cushioned or soft. If you're working on a hard surface, I recommend having a rolled up blanket or towel to provide extra comfort to your sits bones and to your knees during part of the practice. You can also use a yoga block. You'll see me reach for that during the practice just to lift the surface of the floor for greater comfort. Again, if you don't have a yoga block, you can use that rolled up blanket or towel for that purpose. So now let's get into our stretch session. Let's begin today in a comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. You can have a cushion or a blanket under your sitting bones to elevate the hips just slightly. And it can also be helpful to have a block or something to elevate the surface of the floor just a little bit. Again, this can be a rolled up blanket, it doesn't have to be a sturdy block, just something to give you that surface to rest on during some of these longer holds in our static stretching. In today's practice, we are looking to relieve sore muscles. So I encourage you to show up to this practice in the same way you would your workout. So devote the same level of intention and attention to this work of recovery. It'll help soothe your sore muscles and it will help you come back to your strength practice or any other movement practice in a stronger way. So let's begin again in that comfortable seated position. And as you inhale, take your arms overhead, big breath. Just connecting to that rhythm here first. Exhale, let the arms rest down. Twice more. Big inhale, circle the arms nice and wide. Lift up through the spine and exhale, release. Last one like this. Huge breath in and a slow breath out. So just using the breath to bring mind and body to the same place here. This time as you inhale, reach the arms up, interlace the fingers. Press the palms toward the sky. Stretch the hands skyward. Feel that stretch across the shoulders. And then as you exhale, around the spine, bring the knuckles away from you. Feel that broadening across the shoulder blades, stretching the upper back. Inhale, up, arch the spine, lift up. Feel the extension. And then as you exhale, just a gentle rounding of the upper back, maybe drawing the chin to the chest. Twice more like this. Inhale, reach up. And exhale, release. Sort of cat and cow spine here. Inhale last time. See if we can get the arms just slightly behind the ears and exhale round. As you inhale, come back up. This time, bring your hands behind your head. Press your head into your hands. Let the elbows stay nice and wide. Lift up through the center of the chest. Draw your front ribs in. Big inhale breath. As you exhale, twist to the right. Take an inhale in the twist. And then as you exhale, take your left elbow to right knee. Inhale, come back up through center, broaden the elbows. And to the other side now, exhale, twist to the left. Stay for the inhale and the twist. And then exhale, take right elbow to left knee. Try to keep your sitting bones anchored. We'll move a little more quickly here. Inhale, open. And exhale, elbow to knee. Inhale through center. Exhale, elbow to knee. So really try to keep the hips pretty stable here. We're working to free the rib cage from the pelvis. So letting these two structures in the body move independently. Let's get one more time in each side. Inhale and exhale. Back through center and exhale. Come up through center here, big breath in. And as you exhale, release your hands behind you. Spider the finger pads, press down into all 10 fingers. Lift up through the center of the chest. Then we'll take the feet out nice and wide, simply windshield wiper the legs. As you do this, try to keep your feet on the floor the entire time so that you're really carving out some space in the hip joints, working through both internal and external rotation here. And just a few more rounds like that, kind of mobilizing the joint. And then we'll slowly turn toward the long edge of your mat, or excuse me, the short edge of your mat, so your body parallels the long edge. Take your fingers, face them outward. Hug the heels of your hands back behind you so that you feel that stretch across the chest right away. Let your feet stay parallel. Spread the toes, root down through all four corners of both feet. And then as you're ready, simply lift up into your upward table and slowly touch down. Hips meet the floor. Inhale, press through the heels of the hands. Curl the tail slightly under toward the inner knees. Hip bones draw toward the low ribs. Exhale, press up. Keep the chin and neck neutral here. Avoid dropping the head back in the beginning of our practice. Just kind of opening the chest, warming the arms here. And then slowly come back down to your seated position. We'll work through some opening for the upper body next. With a big inhale, take the arms overhead. Exhale, right hand touches down, left arm lifts up and over to the right. So I'll be mirroring you in movement here. Really open and awaken that side body. If you need to, you can bring a forearm to your block or your blanket. Wherever you are, keep that left sitting bone heavy, so it might want to pop up. Can you keep it anchored so you feel that stretch in the side body? Big breath here. We'll be in these static stretches for just about 30 seconds or so each. It's enough to signal the relaxation response that we're looking for. If your upper arm gets tired, you can always rest it behind your head. That gives you something to help open that top shoulder. Last big breath here. Slowly come up through center, both arms reach, and we'll take it to the other side so you can adjust your block if needed. Bring your left hand to the earth, right arm stretches up and overhead. Again, if you need to deepen the sensation, you can bring a forearm to your block or your blanket, or just bend more deeply into that left elbow. You might choose to rest your top hand behind your head here. You can start to move inward, so using this practice also as a way to check in. So we are serving the body through movement, but this can also be a practice for your mind, for your spirit as well. Last big breath. Come up through center, let the arms find a T. We'll start by taking the right arm under left, find eagle arms. So we're wrapping around the upper arms, elbows, forearms, and wrists. If that's too much or it's not accessible for you today, you can always take opposite shoulders. We'll be here again for about 30 seconds. You can make this more of a static stretch, or you can start to floss the shoulder blades up and down by simply moving the arms up and down. I want you to imagine that you're moving the inner armpits away from each other, so you feel that broadening across the upper back. And deep breath the entire time. Again, staying committed, devoted to your practice through your intention, through your attention and awareness. Last big breath here. Then from here, your left arm is on top. You'll take that left arm across your chest for a nice big tricep stretch. Soften that left shoulder down away from the ear. You might even take your right ear toward the right shoulder. And make sure you can wiggle your left fingertips. Really kind of create some traction. So you're using that right hand to gently pull the upper arm away. And at the same time, you're trying to square the shoulder. So you're moving your left shoulder in the opposite direction. Last big breath here. Our next stretch, we're going to guide that left arm up, turn the palm to face behind you. Then you'll bend at the elbow, bring that palm to the center of the upper back. You'll take your right arm out to the side, turn the thumb to face down, and we'll wrap that arm around behind you. So you're bringing the back of your bottom hand, palm of your top hand onto the back. If you can, you're crawling the fingertips to meet each other. Don't sweat it if they don't find each other today, or you can even use a towel, maybe a strap or a blanket to kind of lengthen the limbs to make that connection. Wherever you are, hug the elbows into the midline, lift up through the heart and chest. So feel this deep stretch now, internal rotation in your bottom shoulder, external rotation in your top shoulder. This one can be a bit intense, so use that breath to signal the safety and security that your body needs to release, to find the relaxation response. Last big breath. And then we'll keep the shape of the hands, just release the fingertips if you have that clasp. Keep your right arm reaching toward your left hip crease so it stays behind you. And you're going to bring your left hand to your right collarbone. Gently press in and draw down on that collarbone as you take your left ear to your left shoulder. Feel that nice release in the neck. You might move your head through yes and no until you feel kind of that, it's the sternocleidomastoid, so it's this muscle that connects to the jaw, connects the clavicle to the jaw here. So it can tend to get a bit tight, especially with our strength work. So really just allow yourself to be here for several more moments, kind of releasing into this deep neck stretch. You can use that left hand again to facilitate more traction. So you're pressing in and drawing down in the opposite direction. This is one that I could stay in for a while. My neck tends to be a little bit tight, tells me I habitually carry some tension there. Maybe you feel the same. And then slowly come out, release your arms back to T. So just notice the difference that you feel from one side to the other. And now we will take the opposite side. So I want you to take the left arm under this time, right arm on top for eagle arms. Again, finding the variation that feels best for you. Energetically drawing the inner armpits apart. So you're trying to create that space even with the bind. So it's almost like this inner circuit of energy that generates the sensation. Breathing in and out, maybe adding a little bit of movement here. And just noticing where you feel any work from your workouts throughout this cycle. Maybe you have a bit of soreness, a bit of tension that you didn't know was there. Last big breath here. And then we'll release. So we'll take that right arm across the chest for that deep tricep stretch. Again, you're using the left hand to gently tug on that right arm, and you're drawing the right shoulder in the opposite direction. So you have this nice length happening in the upper arm. You can even move your left ear toward your left shoulder if you like. We'll be here just a few moments more. So again, signaling that relaxation response by using the breath. And then slowly guide that right arm up behind you. Turn the palm to the upper back. And then take your left arm out to the side. Turn the thumb to face down. Wrap that arm around. So you are encouraging the fingertips to meet behind you. But again, don't worry if they're not connecting today. Wherever you are, hug the elbows toward the midline. So you feel that inner activity, that inner activation. Here, feeling definitely more tightness on the right side and left side for the internal rotation. So just staying curious with any signals that you receive, what that might be telling you about any movement habits, any habitual patterns that are present in the body. We can use these stretch sessions to sort of course correct some of those habitual movement patterns. Last big breath here. Then we're going to release the fingers if you have them. Keep your left arm reaching behind you for that right hip crease. Then we're going to take the right hand to the left clavicle or the left side of the chest. Simply press in and draw down, and then we'll bring right ear to right shoulder. Again here, maybe moving the jaw, moving the head through yes and no. This one, such a therapeutic way to move and release tension in the neck so that we keep mobility through the cervical spine. So if you ever start to feel like you maybe can't access your full range of motion in the neck and head, this is a great one to create that release, to create more mobility. Last few breaths. And then slowly let that go. Let the arms reach out to T again. Maybe give a shimmy and a shake in the shoulders. And let your arms rest down by your sides. We'll move through some lower body work now. So you can take your left leg, extend it out long, bend your right knee into your chest. Find that position first, really level the sitting bones. And then if it feels good to you, you can cross that right leg to the outside of your left knee. We're going to sit up nice and tall. Inhale, reach your left arm high. And as you exhale, find a twist. So for this one, just a gentle wrap. You can just hug that right leg into your body and find the twist. So we're using this more for the outer hip stretch, less for the upper body and the twist. So no need to tuck the elbow to the outside, really just facilitating some rotation here. You might wrap the left low ribs around and then breathe into that twist. So we have a little bit more of a boundary there for the breath, but can you strengthen the diaphragm by inflating the lungs, even in the presence of that gentle pressure? Last big breath. And slowly release the twist. We'll take the right foot now to the inner left thigh. I want you to square the hips, square the shoulders. Press all four corners of your left foot away from you. Here's where it might be nice to have your block or your blanket. Reach the arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, fold over that left leg nice and long. So I want you to focus on keeping the spine really straight, lengthening forward rather than rounding in. So that's where it can be nice to have a little bit of that elevated surface if you need to bring the ground a little higher, especially if you're experiencing tightness in the hamstrings. Here, I want you to push that right foot into the left leg, hug the left leg back into that right foot to create a little bit of activation. And then press the back of the left knee down so that you can signal the release of the hamstrings. The more that we activate the quadricep, the more that sends the signal to the body that we're asking the hamstring to relax. Soften the shoulders, soften the face. Nice big breath. And then if you wish, just for the last few moments of this stretch, you can reach your right hand to the outside of left foot and then kind of arch in the opposite direction. So this really targets the lower spine. If you have any lower back pain, this can be a great way to invite length and space to alleviate tension. So really breathe into your right side body and the right side of your lower spine. Last big breath here. And then slowly come up. We'll switch sides now so you can extend your right leg long. Hug your left knee toward your chest. Option here to cross the foot to the outside. And then we'll reach the right arm high again as you exhale, just wrapping that right arm around the left thigh. So negotiate the space. I want you to wrap your right low ribs toward your left thigh. And then soften the shoulders. So notice any tendency you have to grip in the shoulders. I want you to soften that here. Press the right foot actively away from you. Really feeling that awakening, that length in the left outer thigh, outer hip. And again, just picking up on the little details. So for me, this side much tighter. I feel the sensation much more intensely, which intuitively makes sense. It's my dominant side, so there's probably a tendency for that side to step in and take over more quickly. Last big breath. And slowly release. Bring that left foot to the inside of the right thigh now. Square the hips, square the shoulders. Reach the arms overhead, big breath. And as you exhale, fold over that right leg. Same thing on this side. This one a little bit tighter, just a little bit more tender. So really working to activate that reciprocal inhibition. So it's that concept that when you activate one side, the reciprocal response is relaxation on the other side. So activate the quadricep by pressing the knee down. Hug the right toes toward your shin and breathe here. Keep pressing your left foot into right thigh into left foot. You might stay just a little longer than 30 seconds here. This is such a powerful stretch. And if you wish to, you can now come to the outside. So reaching left hand for the outer edge of your right foot. Again, this side just a little bit more tender, a little bit more sore. So I'm definitely feeling the low spine here in a big way. And just, again, staying curious, not finding any judgment in these signals from the body, this communication, just staying open so that we establish that relationship of trust, that you can just be curious about what's going on. Really breathe into the left side body. Might not seem like a lot happening from the outside, but hopefully you're feeling that sensation from the inside. And then slowly walk it up. And this time we'll take the legs wide for our straddle stretch. Same concept here. So I want you to tilt the pelvis slightly forward so you can make sure your spine is upright. Engage the quadriceps to press the knees down. Draw the toes toward the shins. And then walk your hands as far forward as feels comfortable. And find the place that you can sustain. So you want to feel enough sensation that it's working, but not so much that you tend to grip. And this will change as we stay longer in the stretch. So the response kind of comes in waves. You'll feel that initial kind of gripping sensation as your body tries to protect itself. And then as we sort of transmit that signal back that we are okay through the breath, through relaxation, then the muscles just slowly start to release. So notice those waves of sensation as they arise. Notice how the breath can influence and change that sensation. Really lengthening the inner thighs, so you're working to stretch the inner heels away from you in opposite directions. We'll be here just a breath or two more. And then we'll slowly walk it out. I know you might want to hang out in that one a little longer. Feels so good. And we'll come to a tabletop position now, facing the short edge of your mat. Shine your sitting bones nice and high. Make sure your knees are directly under the hips. And then we'll walk it out to puppy pose. For this puppy pose, I want you to take your elbows down, press your palms together, and then soften the heart, belly, chest toward the thighs. Really press down through the forearms first so that you deepen that stretch, but all the while staying integrated in the shoulder. We're working to lengthen the spine here. So really lifting up and back through the hip creases. If you wish, now you can take your thumbs to the nape of the neck, so kind of just behind you, bending the elbows ever so slightly to feel that deeper stretch in the triceps, maybe the armpits, upper back. Or you can keep the palms pressing down into the mat, whatever feels best for you in this moment. We'll be here just one more very big breath in. And slowly let it go. I'm going to walk the hands in now, back to tabletop for an upper back stretch. So we'll inhale, twist the right arm open. And as you exhale, thread that arm under, bring your right ear, right temple to the mat, spider your left fingertips. This is a stretch that you'll see very often in the Lune roadmap because it does so much for the body. So we're feeling that upper back release. We're getting rotation in the thoracic spine. We've got length in the low spine, a little bit of a stretch for the hips. It's kind of an all-in-one stretch. We'll be here a few moments more. And then slowly come out the way you came in. And we'll exchange sides here. So left arm stretches open. And exhale, thread it under. Bring that left ear, left temple to the mat. Spider your right fingertips. Press the ground away to feel that awakening, that opening in the upper back. Keep stabilizing the hips, so press down through your shins, tops of your feet, to give yourself that stable base of support from which you can rotate and expand. Last very big breath in. And slowly come out the way you came in. Coming into pigeon pose next. So this one, a pretty intense posture. So we're going to start with kind of the first entry point and work our way deeper. I want you to slide your right knee forward. So first entry to pigeon is to have that back knee bent out to the side. So you've got kind of a zigzag shape in the legs, working to keep that shin, that front shin parallel to the short edge of your mat, and then folding forward. To deepen, the next stage would be to hug your right heel in towards your body. Tuck your left toes under, square the left hip. So we're really trying to maintain that proper hip position in the back leg if your back leg is straight. So we're turning the knee, the hip down, and you're here, stretching that right hip. To progress the stretch further for deeper sensation, you can start to heel toe that right foot out so that you're approaching more parallel with the shin. Keep that right foot flexed. First, I want you to lift up through the spine so you feel that stretch in the left hip flexor. This is as much about the hip flexors in the back leg as it is about the front hip. And then when you're ready, maintain that position in the back leg, fold over your right leg. As long as you can maintain the position of the back hip, you can untuck the back toes. Sometimes I like to keep them tucked just to keep that knee in position. It's going to want to pop out to kind of find lesser sensation in the hip. It's kind of that protective mechanism in the body. And then once you're here, can you start to refine the pose? So draw your right hip crease back. Keep pressing the top of your left thigh down. Find the deep rhythm of your breath. So we'll be here about twice as long as some of the other postures. This one takes just about that long to start kind of really feeling the relaxation response because our hips tend to be chronically tight. So we'll give ourselves just a little bit more time to await that relaxation response, to let it arrive so that we can really get the benefits of this stretch. So again, ride those waves of sensation as they come and go. Should feel pretty intense to start, and then you might feel that relaxation arrive. And here, can you use your breath to facilitate a deeper stretch? So as you inhale very deeply, the diaphragm descends to make space for the lungs to expand, and that can open the hips. So it's one of those things I always used to hear yoga teachers say, breathe into your hips, and it didn't make sense to me until experiencing that sensation in the body of the diaphragm really moving and creating expansion across the pelvis through the hips. Last very big breath here. And then take your time coming out, pressing onto the hands and slowly exchanging. So we'll stay a moment in tabletop, just sway the hips side to side. Feel that exchange, the difference between left and right. And then we'll move to the left side now. So bring your left shin forward. Again, you can start with the zigzag shape. You can hug the heel closer to your body, or you're moving through kind of a deeper sensation. So it's a way for you to choose the entry point that feels most appropriate in your body today. If you do have that back leg straight, you're tucking the toes under, keeping that back knee facing down. And then we'll slowly come into the pose. So lowering down here. Once again, refining the posture here. So pressing the top of the right thigh down, drawing the left hip crease back. Acknowledging if one side is a little bit more tight than the other. You can even squeeze or tone the right glute just a touch. That can help relax the hip flexor on the right side, which can allow you to move deeper into this stretch. Keep flexing the left foot here and breathe. So again, we'll stay in this posture a little bit longer than some of the others, just to allow several waves of the sensation to flow through. So we feel a little bit of that tightening and then the release. Make sure that your neck is staying nice and soft. If you have a block or a blanket, you might even choose to rest your head there. all in support of the relaxation response. Really looking to let go of any gripping that we might have. This is a great stretch for your lower spine. Often low back pain tends to come from kind of imbalance in the glutes. So our strength work helps to tone and develop that activation. And then we use these recovery practices to create length and balance. Let's take one more very deep breath and slowly exhale. And from here, we're going to release the block. Come onto your belly for a moment for Sphinx pose. So forearms are touching down. I want you to press the tops of your feet into the mat, stretch the heart up and back. Kind of sway the hips side to side here. And then turn your left forearm in, reach your hand for the inside, right hand for the inside of right foot. And press the foot into the hand into the foot until you feel a quadricep stretch. For me today, not taking much at all to feel that sensation in the front of the thighs. This also is lengthening the spine, so we're asking the psoas to elongate. Another way to address lower back pain, maybe in a way that feels a little bit separate from where the pain is coming from, but often it can come from those deepest layers of our hip flexors being chronically shortened, chronically tight. And then slowly release, switch sides. Right forearm turns in, left hand reaches for the inside of left foot. So here we're allowing the chest to open. Keep your knees hugging into the midline. So you're not letting that left knee flare out to the side. Instead, we're keeping that sensation in the hip flexors. Last big breath here. And slowly release. From here, you can turn on to your back. We'll close our practice just with a little bit of supine work here. So you can kind of take your knees side to side, release the low spine. Then we'll hug the right knee into chest, extend your left leg long. So really draw that shin in, work full flexion of the knee as much as feels comfortable. Separating the thigh bones here. Find half happy baby. So taking the outer or inner edge of your right foot, gently tugging it down. Bring the top of the right thigh toward the mat beside you. So aim to keep the left leg grounded, left glute grounded. And then we'll slowly transfer that right knee over to the left, supine twist. Let your shoulders stay on the mat. Give the weight of your right leg to gravity. So again, noticing here any gripping that you might feel as you move into the twist. Creating that conscious relaxation, that conscious letting go. Slowly come through center when you're ready. Exchange legs, so left knee hugs in, right leg out. Again, first just establishing separation in the thigh bones without tilting the pelvis. So really aim to keep the hip bones level. And then as you're ready, happy baby on this side. So really drawing the sole of the left foot down, aiming the top of the left thigh to the outer left ribs, grounding the right hip onto the mat. Just feeling those waves of sensation ripple through the inner thighs, maybe across the bowl of the pelvis. And then slowly transfer that left knee over to the right. Supine twist. You might gaze to the left or maybe just keep the shoulders nice and even here. Can you soften the low belly? I know in my own body I have a tendency to grip in these supine twists. So it's really a conscious effort to release that control, to really allow your leg to soften to the mat, to the floor. And then when you're ready, we'll slowly come through center, hug the knees to chest, give yourself a squeeze, rock and roll to the side. And then nice and easy, we'll just round up and down along the spine here until you come to your comfortable seat. We'll finish the way we began here in our seated position. Just take a moment to lengthen the spine, lift up through the crown of the head. Maybe you close your eyes for a moment and just perform that quick body scan from crown to toes. Notice how you feel. Maybe some of that soreness has been soothed. Maybe you feel that steady sense of ease. You can blink your eyes open if they are closed. I want to thank you for showing up for your recovery today in the same way that you show up for other parts of your practice. I know this is an easy one to let slide down your priority list, but it is so important to support your efforts, to really give the work that you're doing in your other practices, to give it that time for repair, for recovery, so that you can come back and continue to grow, so that we don't enter kind of that negative feedback cycle. Instead, we allow our muscles, our bodies time to heal, time to rejuvenate, and then we come back stronger and more powerful. So thank you for committing to your rest practice in this big way and for letting your body be moved.